Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chop It Up. You could consider this to be an addendum to one of our previous segments. Um, I'm going to talk about myself here, right? And I'm going to talk about myself because I believe that I could never tell someone about being an astronaut. I've never been an astronaut, never in my life, never lived around an astronaut, never talked to an astronaut. I know nothing about being an astronaut. Right now, if they put me in the space shuttle and said, go to the moon, I mean, I could hit the sky and that's about it. You know, I would never be able to find it. I might not be able to find my way back to Earth again for crying out loud. What I can do is talk about my own experiences. And I can also identify with other people who have similar experiences to me, right? And I will talk about being a juvenile offender, right? And I liken it to uh, like there's deaf people in prison, right? And I have interpreted for maybe 50 or 60 deaf guys in prison, maybe 70, maybe 100, I don't know. And of those 100, only two ever graduated high school, and only one ever went to college. And that's because these deaf guys, all of them had one limitation, which was they couldn't hear. But more of them, most of them, also had an emotional limitation that prevented them from learning. And and that makes it bad. You know, some of them were truly stupid people, but most of them were not stupid. Most of them were held back by that inability to learn, that stumbling block. And the same thing, while I am a juvenile offender, among juvenile offenders, I am a minority because it's easy for me to learn. You know, I'm pretty smart. I pick stuff up really quick. And most of the juvenile offenders that I was locked up with, they're not that smart, you know? And I knew guys that didn't learn to read till they came to prison. I know guys that, uh, I left school because I was bored. They left school because they just couldn't figure out what was going
Well,
on.
I had one where he didn't even know the alphabet. He
Right.
literally did not know the alphabet.
So you have these guys that don't know what's going on. They have an emotional limitation, an emotional handicap that's a stumbling block and an obstacle in their development. And then they also have the intellectual stumbling block in their development. And now some of these guys, some of these jits, when they were around grown-ups, you know, they would drink and use drugs and all that stuff. I partied a little bit when I was a jitterbug. It's just the way it goes. When you're hanging out with older dudes, you do what older dudes do. You know, that's it. It's how it is. But this is a bigger problem because while these guys chronologically, their age is a limitation, bigger than that, there are other elements, and they're not addition signs. It's not being young plus having an emotional development equals, it's being young multiplied by an emotional development issue creates a bigger problem, you know? And where I had the intellectual development, what I didn't have was the emotional maturity to be able to process the things that I was experiencing, to be able to process the things that I was encountering in my own life. And when we're young, and I say we because I can speak for this group, unlike an astronaut, this is something that I have done. And when we are young, acting out, being aggressive is mistaken for strength. It's mistaken for being strong. When the truth is that a person who is incapable of dealing with his own problems and inflicts those problems on other people, it's a form of weakness. But we confuse ourselves and we convince ourselves that it is a strong position that we are in, not a position of weakness. And I will tell you this, that I was more than capable. If I had a button that I could have pushed and it would have destroyed half of the world, I would have pushed that button before I brushed my teeth in the morning just for shits and giggles. And I'm not talking about one time. I mean, every day I would have pushed that button every day. Now think about what I'm telling you. I was a living, breathing person capable of pushing a button to destroy half the world every day that I woke up out of bed. Every day, you know? And that is what the problem is. And listen, there's no way I would ever diminish the fact that I took somebody's life. There's no way that I would ever diminish the impact that that had on my family, on Jeff and his family, you know, and it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. And when you consider that action was the result of something bigger and something far worse. And that's the truth. So there's a lot of people that sit around and try to rationalize and try to say, well, it was because of this or it was because of that. And I will say, much like I say about me being an astronaut, you have no idea what it really is and what it's really like because you just don't, because you've never had this feeling. You've never had this, I hate to even call it a capability, but you never had this aptitude for destruction and this lack, complete and utter lack of understanding and even connection to the consequences. Because it's like, fuck it. I'm gonna do this and fuck it. There is nothing else. There is nothing beyond that point. It is, I am gonna do this and that's where everything stops until the next time. And then I'm gonna do this and everything stops until the next time. So that's not a situation that's going to be remedied by just giving guys a bunch of time. You know, it's just not. And if I had the opportunity, I wouldn't want to just talk to the children. I would want to talk to young parents. I would want to talk to parents in general. When that child gets in his first brush with the law, just like everybody did. I mean, me committing a murder was not the first time that I was breaking the law, number one. And I had already been arrested several times. So when a juvenile is arrested, there should be an indicator. Let's do something with this guy's parents. Let's find out where the problem is beginning, because the beginning of the problem is not the crime that the juvenile is committing. That is not the beginning.
And it's
look,
not the child. And it's
there
not the
is
child.
one-
No,
there is
the beginning isn't the child.
There is no one more responsible about what I did than me. I am the most responsible person. What I am saying is that there's something going on. There's a pattern that should be recognized, and people need to take heed. Because we don't just wake up one day and say, I'm willing to push a button to destroy half the world. I mean, listen, if the button would have destroyed the other side of the street, if the button would have destroyed the house next to mine, I mean, honestly, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered, you know? And we don't just wake up one day. This is a process. There is a process that occurs, and that is the result. Everything after that is still a result of that same process. Even though I am responsible for what I do, I am responsible for what I did. However, it also was the result of a process. You know, so while everybody sits back and says, oh, this guy should be in prison forever, or oh, that guy should be in prison forever. I mean, there should be some kind of algorithm where when a juvenile gets arrested, something is done with his parents, that some investigation is done.
And with the parents, throwing children into juvenile programs doesn't fix the home environment.
No,
They're released back into that environment. It's the
Sure,
same thing.
and the programs just create resentment. You know, listen, man, as a juvenile, as a teenager, you don't want to hear a fucking thing because it's already too late. You've already formed your opinion at that time. You know what I mean? And they say that our opinions are malleable, and yes, they are. But however, in that present sense, in that moment of time, we are acting with an operating system that is already installed. Flawed as it is, fucked up as it will be, it's already there. It's already there,
Yeah.
you know, and that's it, you know. And there are going to be people who see this and have comments on it, and man, and that's cool. I also hope that some learned, or is it learned or learned people,
Learning.
learned people see this and realize, you know, hey, that is true. What this guy is saying is true, you know. So I'm not
I
looking
have
for
to
a
go.
cop out for all the juveniles. I'm not looking for
No.
an excuse. What I'm looking for is for people to understand that this is the way it is. And I know a guy, man, been in prison since
Robert,
19. Time to
I
go.
have to go.
All right. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed it. If not, man, I hope you tolerated it. I know I've seen the YouTube algorithms that say 7 minutes is about it, and after that, people lose attention, so lose interest. So go ahead, Michelle. You can say it this time. Give them the anthem.
All right. If you liked what you saw, please hit like. Please subscribe and share as well. And
Even
we'll
if
see
you're
you next
18 or
time.
24.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. See you later.